Despite the emerging challenges and competitiveness, the MSME sector is a major contributor to the socio-economic development of the country. The Indian MSMEs contribute around 30% towards the GDP through the national and international trade. Our next panelists are ready to share their views on how these contributions can be increased and how to enable Indian MSMEs to win in the global markets. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our esteemed panel of speakers, Ms. Nupur Agarwal, co-founder, Sayal, Evolve, Sayal, CEO, founder, and Indian Women Institutional League, CEO, TechSupergirl. Ms. Mamta Bakliwal, co-founder, Empower Integrated Solutions Private Limited, and Mr. Amit Kumar, founder and CEO, MSMEx. And to take this session forward, I would like to invite Mr. Faiz Askari, founder, SMEStreet. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're ready, thank you, Mr. Askari.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sneha, for the quick and a very to the point introduction. And yes, thank you so much, viewers, for joining in. Thank you so much, the organizers, for giving us this opportunity. And obviously, I'm very much excited and thankful to the distinguished panelists sitting in this. And really, MSMEs is a subject. MSMEs are the community which holds importance in today's world. Not just the fact that we are talking about the post-pandemic world, but also we have actually an opportunity to thrive ahead, and we have this opportunity to change the economic scenarios and grow to the next level and uplift our respective socio-economic conditions. And MSMEs undoubtedly, and the only source, according to me and my observation, MSMEs are the only important and structured source to get addressed, to actually, they can probably drive the economic growth through job creations, through socio-economic upliftment, and also all these words and phrases are important. But today in this particular panel discussion, we as I mentioned, like it's a great honor to have such distinguished panelists, and we will be talking about Indian MSMEs and how they should actually look at winning the global markets. When I say that, we actually, I talk about the roadmap to expand, multiple X. And when we actually talk about the global expansion of any business, or, so we talk about technology. Then we will definitely like to discuss, contemporary issues which are actually, which are also set of priorities at the top policymakers, which the government is working. And for example, the credit availability, for example, the ease of doing business, job creation through MSMEs, export-related incentive programs like PLI, and those things. Government is doing its part, but at the same time, what are the contemporary issues that are faced by the MSMEs holds a lot of relevance here today, as well as will always be. So we will be talking about some of the aspects like ease of doing business, for example. And obviously, we will also talk about the changing mindset of consumers. And there's one more thing which we will try to touch upon is the kind of employability element among the MSME sector. And all of this contributes to their contribution in the exports. All of this contributes to their contribution to the GDP, which is definitely very critical. So without much of delay, I must welcome Ms. Deepa Sayal. She's the founder and CEO of ADGonline. Ms. Nupur Agarwal, founder of a startup which is pretty impressive in terms of the agriculture and the connect is concerned, agriculture and the farm to kitchen kind of story. And so we would definitely like to hear from her. Ms. Mamta Bakliwal, who is actually responsible for taking the taking the technology aspect of these MSMEs. So I think Mr. Amit Kumar will be joining us because he is, I think he might be. Has he joined already? He represents the platform called MSMEX, which is an edutech platform. So pretty diverse. And I would like to start with Nupur with from an aspect of the ease of doing business part, because she is the starter here, and she has also got been, she has got recognized by the Startup India award as well. And let us hear from her about the ease of doing business element for her, and how is she actually looking at the contemporary trends evolving in last whatever 18 months or so.
Hi, thank you so much, Faiz. It was so kind of you to say such nice words. It's like really, really appreciative. Thank you so much. Hello, everybody. Hello to the audience there. Thank you so much for taking our time and hearing our stories and hearing what we have to say. It means a lot. Your time means a lot, and your, acceptance towards what we have to say. In terms of Faiz, about when we talk about ease of doing business, I think yes, we've really progressed as a nation where we talk about a lot of startups coming in place. We talk about a lot of people getting into different sort of businesses, or a lot of people getting into the entrepreneurial side of things. So that's amazing. But I would say in terms of government's step forward towards enabling this ecosystem, yes, it has been extensive. It has been really, really appreciative. It has been they've put in a lot of hard work to make this thing possible, wherein there are more and more people who do more and more business, who it's for whom it's easy to do business. But there's also a lot of glitch. So initially what has happened in smaller states, like I come from a state called Uttarakhand. In bigger states like Telangana, or in UTs like Delhi or Maharashtra, which already had a lot of this ecosystem of businesses, probably there things are more fast forwarded. But where in smaller state like ours, where the state's majority population was in services, either government jobs or in the army and things like that, the system, only for the sake of it, is online. You know what I mean? It is just पहले पहले चीजें कागजी चलती थी, फाइलें इधर से उधर जा रही है. Now it's single window, right? But for this single window also, like let's say today I have to take, I was sitting at the industries department, and I said I need a pollution no compliance certificate and NOC. So they said, oh, well, I said, I am on the single window panel. I just need to apply online. I've done all that stuff. In principle, I've got everything in place. They're like, no, you still have to go there, submit your papers offline, go to the office and get things done there, talk to the department head, see what he's saying and look at those things. So only for probably how the GEM portal is. I was told somebody about the GEM portal today.
Yes.
For the sake of it, the tendering has gone online, but it is still not as transparent. People still, sort of do the tendering in the background, and then they say, "Chaha, now just because it's a compliance that you need to be on a GEM portal, only then." So it is like people who were there supplying to the government departments 50 years back. It's the same people who are registered on GEM. there is no new people, there are no new startups who are registered on GEM, because the process of registering on GEM is so cumbersome. It's not as easy as filling up a Google form. The process is so
Yes.
cumbersome that it takes it you actually need an agent to fill that, who will
Yeah.
charge you an X amount of money. Same is with other government portals which are so called single window and things like that. So it is quite a task to even fill these portals and be on these portals and know the process of these portals, which they say, oh my God, you know what? Now we are online, we are single window. But this is just a very simple, basic thing. Okay, you know what? We were on papers and now we are online, but the process is as cumbersome as it used to be, rather more, because people were at least used to that, because that had been going on for like 50, 60 years. This is very recent. This is like 10 years. But that process of filling those various forms and getting that done, and then the compliance comes, and then you have to redo it and still go to the office offline and do those things. So I think now काम दुगना हो गया है, ऑनलाइन भी करना, ऑफलाइन भी करना है, एंड प्रोसेसेस ज्यादा बढ़ गए हैं. देयर आर मोर प्रोसेसेस. पहले तो आप ऑफिस में दफ्तर में जाते थे, आप किसी बाबू को जानते थे, आपसे बोलते थे यार मेरी, again, right or wrong is secondary. I'm
Yeah.
talking in terms of ease of doing business, right? You used to tell them, like in our parents' generation, that ये भाई साहब ये काम होना और वो काम हो जाता था. They used to fill the forms or whatever,
Yes.
right? Today there is that process also layered with the online process as well, and there is
Hmm.
nobody to guide, because half the systems, probably
True.
the government or the people don't know themselves. Like that is what happened in GST. People
Yes.
still have no idea what is happening in GST, how many times, what's going on, how do you get a
Exactly.
rebate. Like that's just, it's quite a mess. So that is one, I think. Yes, on the face of it we say it's ease of business, but I think it's become a little more cumbersome. But as in when we, so this is a transition period, which I understand, which is completely okay. But when you talk about the startup ecosystem overall, I think the younger generation has been very entrepreneurial, and that also comes from because lack of job opportunities, I believe, and their willingness to do. And secondly, it's how privileged we as a generation are. To be very honest, our
Hmm.
parents who, they had banda, they had, like, they could not make two ends meet. They knew if they don't work today, probably they will not get roti to eat the next day, or they will not
Hmm.
get clothes to wear the next day, or they will not have shelter over their heads. But we as a generation don't have to bother about all these things. Hence, we have that risk taking capacity. Hence, we are a little more, more innovative in our sense, because we've been privileged as a generation. So I think that
Yes.
overall ecosystem has really empowered our country to be able to have this great
Exactly.
MSME ecosystem
So,
around, and I'm
so
really
very
proud of
well.
that. Yeah.
Yes. So very well summarized. And I remember, I remember when the conversation on ease of doing business started, and there were like such experiences also. There are good experiences and there are bad experiences of entrepreneurs. And then at that point of time, there was conversation which was about whether it was a ease of doing business or it is about the tease of doing business, because the difference of T is slightly, it's a thin line, because as mentioned, Nupur, and this conversation was about 4 5 years ago, and I still feel that there is a scope of improvement, and this we still are in the transition phase, and we should have such advancement that such kind of going digital, or in the name of creating a transparent business dashboard for the customers or for for the peers, we should not invite more complexities to the business, because we
Yeah,
must
I think
understand
that's
one.
what is, yeah, that's what is happening. I was in Maldives, a week back, and they guarantee you that you can start a hotel or a guest house or a company within 14 days. A small country like
Yes.
Maldives.
So
If you want to
exactly,
open a
exactly.
hotel in Maldives, you can just partner with a local Maldivian person and start the business in 14 days. How easy
See,
is that?
these things do, so these, statements, these flashy statements are still we also have that, but when you actually start there, then the story will be able to, you can then, judge how good and how bad it is. But I feel that yes, there are a lot of, compliance issues. There are a lot of, contemporary and evolving situations which every entrepreneur needs to deal with. But having said that, one aspect policymakers should consider is that, entrepreneur is actually a single person, at least an MSME entrepreneur or a startup is a person with a specific expertise, and that expertise is in his core business. It could be in the agri sector. It could be producing. It could be the exclusivity of that entrepreneur is driving the business for the entire organization or the specific sector. But to engage him, I feel role of and I would definitely like to go and have this input from Mamta and Deepa also, that the role of technology should be more enablement oriented, and this has to be obviously this has to be plug and play kind of thing. Are we successful in that? That's my question to Mamta, because she represents the technology, architecture for, and she has helped a lot of businesses and large as well as Fortune 500 as well as MSMEs. So let's hear from her, how easy or cumbersome is it to actually go online, and what is the exact mantra to have a business on autopilot mode.
Okay. Yeah. Good
Manta,
afternoon, and thanks for the lovely introduction, as well as thanks, Nupur, for all your add-ons. We totally agree with you. Okay, now to tell you the truth, I started my business about 25 years back. That was not into software exports, but was into high-end training, that too in tier 2 city of Madhya Pradesh, like Indore. So at that time, if you talk about ease of doing business and whatever was online, there has been a sea change from that time to this time, okay, today. So if you say, at least when I am into IT exports, we are basically exporting to a lot of countries, about say 15 or more countries, US, Canada. We have strategic partners over there. Okay, now since last 15 years we are into software exports and have helped a lot of businesses get into technology. So asking me, see, I think there is an inherent phobia of technology which acts as a deterrent for everyone, whether it be a business or it be the government side, because you just get scared. But I think after COVID, a lot of progress has been done from the from where we started when everything was just offline. We have come a long way wherein we have everything which is online. But as Nupur said, it is what you can say, we have to do both online as well as offline. But I guess when over a period of time, this thing will only be online. But there are a few things which will obviously need to be done offline, because we don't still have those kind of security systems in place, and they are still in testing phase. But what I would like to say is that yes, I think we need to have measures wherein we remove that phobia, and there can be a buddy or a hand-holding person assigned both to the government agencies as well as to us, wherein that person, we can go back to that person who will guide us through that process, because there are a lot of people still who really, like, when you get onto this video platform, it is difficult for them. If I have to upload a few things, and especially if there are women who really want to do that, that comes, what you can say, inherently a technophobia. I don't know why that is there, because for me, sometimes it becomes very difficult if when I see even young women who really have that technophobia, if they want to start up a business, and if they are working from home, if they have taken some maternity breaks, so when they want to come back, for them again it becomes very difficult how that technical architecture can be done. So I think the gestation period is there. It will mature within, say, next 3 to 4 years, because see, technology is here to stay. It is going to be there, and during COVID it has really taken us to the next level. So yes, I think this technical architecture will there. See, we have made a lot of progress. We have Aadhaar card, then Arogya Setu app. That really during COVID, you also understand how much improvement that has done. Can you imagine an India 5 years back who would really accept this, or before COVID too? So yes, that infrastructure is there in place. We just have to promote that. This is
Yes.
the
No,
answer to your
thank you
question.
so much, Mamta. Very pertinent points you have raised. Um, from Deepa, I would like to hear, the contemporary perception towards the startups.
I
For
think we have lost him. Yeah,
hello.
you're back.
Yes, yes. So I definitely have a slightly different perspective on COVID, on the pandemic. But at the same time, I would definitely like to stick to this subject, and which is, you know how this COVID and the pandemic era have influenced startups and startups' dependency on technology. Yes, everybody knows that the dependency have grown and increased. But what is the percentage, and at the same time, how this startup ecosystem have got influenced with the pandemic? Because ultimately, in the pandemic, what we have all witnessed is, financially, restricted spendings. At the same time, spending on digital, but at the same time the digital spending was dependent on the offline app, or spendings on on the conventional side. Having said that, one funding aspects on startups. So how the parameters have got changed? Parameters for funding, parameters for technology dependency, and yes, we all know it has increased. The dependency on technology has increased, but what is the percentage? Deepa, if you can, let us know about your observations.
Faz, I work with two ecosystems. One is the government ecosystem, and the other ecosystem is the private sector ecosystem. जब pandemic की बात करते हैं, we have seen a large number of startups shutting down and many of them recalibrating. There are 2 or 3 aspects of it. अगर देखें pandemic के बाद, we have recalibrated in terms of our digital adjustments. More and more digital highways have been built. Like we are doing this virtual event. That is one thing. Plus boosting productivity, more and more startups and more MSMEs have built their digital bridges, because we have to understand that in the next 10 years, MSMEs will not be able to survive if they don't have a digital presence. But I'll come to this later. Coming on to ease of doing business, I really want to say 2 or 3 things that I've been wanting to. You see, funding is a major issue, if you really ask me, in the government space, because many of the startups that we have been talking to, they tell us that they don't know where to go. And even if they know where to go, there is no bridging of the window, in the sense that we still have to have the single window system. But एक छोटा सा example, कि अगर हम जेम पे रजिस्टर करते हैं, तो अगर आपके पास पीओ नहीं है एज अ स्टार्टअप, तो आपको गवर्नमेंट में बिजनेस मिलने के चांसेस बहुत कम है. They look at your prior experience to register. So what I'm saying is, everything is being talked about. We have Startup India, we have DPIIT, tech innovation, funding startups, but groundwork पे बहुत कुछ बदलना है. One is information, which is very important. The startups, if you really ask me, funding कहाँ से आती है? इंडिया में अगर सबसे पावरफुल स्पेयर है अभी, तो VC landscape is really changing. This is the time to be a startup in India. If you are a startup, it's the best time to be in India, because if you have a good idea, a good product, and a very good prototype oblique a business function, you'll get easily in the VC space or the angel space. But जब गवर्नमेंट की बात आती है, तो बहुत मेहनत करनी पड़ती है उस तरफ. एक चीज है कि पॉलिसी मेकर्स जो हैं हमारे सरकार में, मैं खुली बात करूंगी, we also need people who are from the same ecosystem when it comes to policy makers. So I've been lucky to be on a panel of, I wouldn't name, but a few ministers, and what we realized is that if they were entrepreneurs, they'll make it easy for our entrepreneurs to come up. So that is one. The second thing I see is red tapeism and many other things, but that is besides the topic. Coming to digital में बहुत सारी जो बेसिक डिजिटल लिटरेसी है, उसके लिए मैं सोचती हूँ क्लस्टरिंग जैसा, मेंटोरिंग जैसा, जैसे चाइना में बहुत ऐसा है कि किसान, जैसे एग्रीकल्चर की बात नुपुर कर रही हैं, इतना कॉम्पिटिटिव है उनका एग्रीकल्चर, दे बीन मेकिंग क्लस्टर्स. So, there is a collaborative space, not only digital space, but especially mentoring के लिए seasoned industry experts को लेके आया जाता है. अगर आप देखें, हमने एक प्रोग्राम अभी बनाया है विमेन एंटरप्रेन्योर्स के लिए टेक्नोलॉजी में, जिसको हम टेक सुपर गर्ल बोल रहे हैं. तो मुझे लगता है कि टेक्नोलॉजी में बहुत जरूरत है अपने आप को एजुकेटेड रखने की, स्टार्टअप्स को. और अगर इफ यू आर टेक्नोलॉजी सेवी, फंडिंग इज नॉट एट ऑल एन इश्यू. आई थिंक दैट इज अनदर एस्पेक्ट ऑफ. तो ये मेजर मेनस्टे है, बूस्टिंग प्रोडक्टिविटी का. एंड लास्टली जो चैलेंजेस आ रहे हैं वो फाइनेंस, नेटवर्किंग और पॉलिसीज जो हैं, ये तीन मेजर.
We will touch upon those. Yes. Absolutely, Deepa. Very, very well explained. Moving to this particular point of policy influence on any MSME or any organization per se. So policy influence is very important and very critical. But at the same time, how MSMEs are influencing the policy, that is also very critical. And I feel that a lot of work has to be done on that front. Although there is a fact that MSMEs have reached to the center stage of policy making. That is true. Everybody is discussing MSMEs in today's this thing. The only thing is everybody is discussing MSMEs, not MSMEs discussing their perspective clearly on the kind of platforms that we are talking about. Like there are policies, like there are ease of doing as a this thing, but then as an entrepreneur, Nupur has a slightly different flavor of experience. So why can't that experience, that flavor to be in line with the kind of policy will and the kind policy making will we have seen in the leadership. Having said that, I would now also like to hear from you that there are several schemes, several programs as an entrepreneur, and this is my common question. I think I would definitely like to hear from Nupur that there are a lot of schemes and programs, even in the food processing industry, even in the agri-tech space. If not agri-tech, then agriculture, yes. So there are so many schemes and programs. How did you experience your in yourself in accessing those schemes, be it the credit availability or the in your specific industry category? I don't know which scheme you might have pursued or you have pursued or not, but any experience on that front? How do you look at the schemes which are getting flashed on your TV screens or on the newspapers, and when you actually do the business, when you try to access credit on a collateral free basis, or have you tried using any kind of incentive program by the state agencies or the central agencies? What is your experience in that? This question is for common. I definitely invite Nupur to share her experiences. You are mute. Can you just change your?
It's a very interesting question, and you're right, asking it again on a very correct day, because we were talking about getting some availing some scheme, and we'd again fulfilled all the online criterias, gotten selected, and everything had happened. But then there was this one NOC that we were supposed to get. And again, online we've gotten it. There has to be one accepting button that one of the bureaucrats have to press. And now we go onto this table and say, sir, paisa disperse karo. And this is not a scheme where they're giving us money. This is like just this thing of whatever money that we've spent, just sort of a cashback sort of a scheme, right? So he's like, no, so this much money you will get. What do I get? Like I'll be very candid about it. So I was like, sir, but according to the online parameters, like according to the scheme parameters, we fulfilled everything, right? Like, no, but सरकार से पैसा लेने के लिए तो कुछ तो देना तो पड़ता ही है types. I was like, fair enough, sounds like a plan. So that's so I think yes, things have changed, but again, it takes time. It took us time from from Mughals to move to British, from British to get Azad Hind, from Azad Hind to get a as ma'am mentioned, corruption free or less of red tapeism or whatever you may call it, that sort of a country. So which is okay, which I understand. It's a part and parcel of business, and all of us go through this. It's not I am vocal about it. Some people aren't, but I think all of us have to do it. It's
Being
that's
vocal
that's
for progress is very important, and
yeah,
so evolution is always moving towards betterment, and when
yeah.
we realize and when we express our contemporary issues, then and only then we can improve to a better this thing. So I feel that it is very important
Correct. And
to.
these are a few things for the younger generation. It is a little cumbersome as well because we don't accept it that way. We've not done it that way. So
True.
a lot of us get disheartened also. So a lot of startups, I don't see many startups applying for schemes, to be honest.
Yes.
Because they feel, oh, what we'll do of these 10 lakh rupees. It's better we ask it from our parents, or it's better we ask some of our relatives to give it, or go to VC. It's at least it's more just, and at least it's less cumbersome when we talk about schemes. Where schemes really play a very big role is where it plays a very big role with the farmers, because their life is dependent on that.
Hmm.
Their roti kapda makan is dependent on that. It is not, I don't think so. A lot of startups, I don't know how many startups did Oyo take any government funding. No. Did Oyo enroll itself, rather than the government was telling them, yeah, please come, get yourself recognized, and you're pride of the nation? Or did Ola do that? No, like they said, oh no, yeah, now you. So first Ola became a platform in itself, and then the government invited, and then government is making electric scooter policy based on what Ola is doing, because it's become so big. How many startups do we know that who've been supported by the government ecosystem in terms of any sort of schemes or fundings, or all these cherry on the cake or the glitters that we talk about? None. This is
Yes.
my experience again, and I see a lot of people. I think the private space is pushing it more. There are like incubation centers which are privately owned and things like that. And something that I would really like to appreciate about the government, where they've done that, is Atal Tinkering Labs. At the school level, when we talk about technology, that is something that they've extremely done well with. Because I'm one of the mentors at the ATL panel. So I think there the processes are a little simpler, and they're trying to get education of technology and these 3D printers and labs and IoTs and all these pi chips and all that stuff. And those that is doing really well. That is a space I feel has been done immensely well. But when we talk about startups, I can guarantee you can pick up a startup which is a unicorn right now, or is not, or is in the process of becoming a unicorn. Did they take any government schemes? you know
True, true, true. But what what my point was initially, that we, yes, there are startups and there are MSMEs and there are struggling MSMEs. So if you actually look at, if you compare and if you look at the bigger picture of economic revival, look at the numbers and the size of actually MSMEs in the conventional business. I'm talking about businesses which are in functional condition for last 20 years. Uh, Businesses which are in the manufacturing domain, businesses which are actually in the in the services domain for last 15 years, 20 years, and they're even their second generation is joining their business. Even them are in a state of of specific handholding and support, and that's where government is also working on them. That's where the MSME Act and MSME policies are getting framed accordingly. Startups, yes, startups something which definitely holds a lot of attraction for a lot of different set of people. VCs are one which definitely are even then the equity finance from bank is also there. So banks are also interested in those startups because exponential growth can happen. But in order to reach to that particular level, what kind of experiences one and how those experience can be improvised, can be more can become more better for an entrepreneur to grow from a level 0 to level 10, let's say, or even if he only reaches to level 5. So that experiences can probably improve. Technology can contribute. Technology and investment on technology can be taken care, or maybe can be can that load shedding can happen. So there are so many things. At the same time, when we actually talk about the challenge, that's my personal observation. And at SMEstreet, we have raised this particular issue. There is also one issue of women entrepreneurship we have been working on, and we are working on very aggressively with the government. Uh, the job creation, when the challenge of job creation is getting addressed, and when the policymakers are talking about job creation to be to get addressed, we must understand that these are MSMEs who can really transform the status of Indian job market. And because more than close to 90% of Indian employable population is with MSMEs. Now, if we have a sad MSME sector overall, it means we have sad employable Indians. So we have to look at that particular situation. And government programs or other incentive scheme is can be they can be directed towards this particular aspect of promoting the job creation through MSME. So that is something which we have been working. And definitely I would like to hear from you in terms of the other aspect, which is about the exports, or about the manufacturing or the international businesses. I just want to understand from Sneha, how much time do we have for this panel discussion?
We have more time. We have more time.
We have how much
Okay.
time, Sneha?
20 minutes more.
20 minutes more. So, Mamta, if you can give us a brief about how, how business expansion, like for newer markets, for global markets, can be accessed, and your based on your customers, interactions. How do you see the mindset changing? Because I have a set of experience in talking to MSMEs across the board, conventional as well as startups. So when we actually discuss global expansion of their business, they straight away take a point that okay, there will be investment, and we have to see whether the investment is viable or will going to be viable for us to actually invest and for the newer markets. But when we actually talk about global expansion, can technology infrastructures, can digital technologies can help us? And if yes, then what is the kind of ROI one can expect, the minimum part and the maximum part, maybe?
Okay, yeah, thank you. First, I have a little different point of view as compared to Nupur here, because see, okay, my first point is there is a lack of awareness of the schemes that exist. Okay, that we have faced. And then once you start realizing it, the government has export promotion councils for exporting. So for that, they have given us a platform wherein they organize, like the Software Export Promotion Council. It organizes buyer seller meets. It organizes business delegations, and like it is at a very subsidized rates. They have this program called as MAI, that is market access initiatives. See, I differ from it because I'm not from the manufacturing sector. Yeah. So when you have this MAI, that is market assistance incentives, therein you get booths in what you can say large expos. You get exposure to the whole world market. Like we go to CeBIT, Germany, we go to Dubai expos, we go to Hong Kong expos, we go to Japan expos, South
That is
Korea
through
also.
NSIC, I guess. That is through NSIC.
ESC.
Acha.
That is an ESC, this thing. So when we go through these, we get subsidies at a very good price. The booths, which are about 5 to 10 lakhs, we get them at about 1 or 2 lakhs. And as you know, then that really helps because you get exposed to the German markets or any other markets. And then they also facilitate business matching sessions. Okay, so depending upon that, like we have India Soft over here, wherein the ESC helps us in that. Because see, my experience has been very positive in these. The only problem was we didn't know about these schemes. And once we started knowing them, then we started using them.
Exactly.
So yes, that difference was there. Okay, now
So
next.
knowing them to using them, there is a bit of process involved into it. There is a lot of to and fro, So
Yeah.
what is that experience? Can you just share that? How did you travel from knowing those schemes to actually accessing those
Knowing
schemes?
the schemes, initially we were a little apprehensive because we didn't know them. So initially, see, as you know, exports for IT, it is a little easier as compared to the other markets because you have online platforms also from wherein you can start your exports. Okay, but then, so initially we had started through references, through word of mouth, and through this, because see, initially when you are an MSME, you can't think of opening an office in US or Canada or anything. Okay, so now there has to be a way to reach them. So the way was through this. So when initially we started, we were a little apprehensive, but then there were what you can say seminars that were held that educated us about these schemes and the subsidies that were there. Yes, when you receive those subsidies back, it takes a little time, but then that time is always there. But then there are no other under the table things involved in that, because that is what you can say purely when exports is there, you don't have anything of this sort available. So yes, the reimbursement takes time. But yes, we have these schemes which we have utilized to a very large extent. Yes, in addition to that, we have the other bodies like NASSCOM and all these, but these are then individual private private bodies. But yes, these schemes, then for example, again, we are into MPSCDC premise, which gives the premise to us at a very subsidized rate. So we were able to use these facilities also. Knowing them and going to them took some time because initially we had hesitation. So initially we just went because we thought, okay, CeBIT, that is a lot of expense involved. Okay, because yes, that is Germany, so the expenses double. But then, so initially we started off with Dubai Expo or say Hong Kong Expo. Then we had good experiences because when we went there, we realized that yes, we get an exposure to the whole world market. Otherwise, I would have had to travel everywhere to get
Yes.
to access those markets, which
Exactly.
helped me now. So
So,
yes, so our experiences have been a little on the positive side only. Yeah.
exactly. So, Deepa, you have any, because you have this incubation for women entrepreneurs as well. So, I would also like to hear from you. about, is there, because as far as I know, there is nothing as such women entrepreneur oriented scheme, a dedicated scheme or a program from the government for women entrepreneurship. Yes, there are industries and there are industry segments which actually which are promoting women self-help groups, women-led businesses. But do you see that there is a scope or there is a requirement of a dedicated scheme or an initiative for women entrepreneurs?
वैसे मेरे हिसाब से बहुत सारी स्कीम्स है गवर्नमेंट में, अगर आप देखें सिडबी, SIDBI, and there's more. We have so many schemes, like we say credit guarantee scheme is by SIDBI, that's one. Then we have Mahila Bank Business Loan, which gives you a collateral free loan. I'll have to check the collateral free part, but 20 crores is the upper market. तो जैसे इन्होंने बोला ममता जी ने कि लोगों को पता नहीं है, इन्फॉर्मेशन में प्रॉब्लम है, तो मेरा एक पॉइंट है कि इन्फॉर्मेशन स्टार्टअप्स और MSMEs तक पहुंचाना. आज की तारीख में there are only 20% women who are founders, owners of MSMEs, and they can contribute to the GDP. So that is one. The second, when it comes to the private sector, I look at it through two purviews. Government has schemes, but people don't know. In the private sector, it's very easy to scale a business. Like my company has an office in Canada. It also has an office in the US. It's very simple. So it is not very difficult to go and expand and set base, because other economies are welcoming you today as compared to others. And the third is revenue generation through customers. We have online platforms and we have the digital marketplace now, which is so big. It's bigger than the offline space. And you don't need feet on street to go abroad and scale a business. So there are a lot of MSME customers in the developed economies like US, Canada, UK, where you can easily scale your business. I have seen businesses in pandemic also boosting their profits up to 100% plus. Only thing is how savvy you are. So assume that if you're a product market, if you're e-commerce savvy, that is one. If you're export savvy, you are very, very well incubated by government. There are a lot of incubation centers that government is running. For women entrepreneurs, if you were to speak to me specifically about, we have Niti Aayog, they are running multiple programs and policy and giving help. So it's a beautiful combination. It's just getting to be the right place at the right time with a lot of information in hand. तो जितने भी लोग सुन रहे हैं, अगर आप इस वक्त हिंदुस्तान में एंटरप्रेन्योर हैं, आई थिंक नॉलेज इज द की, कि अगर स्कीम है, कहाँ जाना है, आपको किससे अवेल करना है, व्हाट इज द प्रोसेस, एंड फॉर गवर्नमेंट या पॉलिसी मेकर्स टू मेक इट वेरी सिंपल. तो आप जैसे देखिए स्टार्टअप इंडिया, इतने सारे पैसे स्टार्टअप्स को, लाइक दे हैव इफ यू नो एंड ऑल ऑफ अस नो that there's a lot of funds, a large bunch of fund that's been allocated to startups by Startup India. What is the criteria to avail this fund? Who should you reach out to, and what is the window? So these are some of the questions that I think that will really, really plug in the caveat. But there are a lot of women's schemes, especially SIDBI. They're playing a lot of, they're playing a major role. It's just that you need to see eligibility. And also collateral-free loans we are looking at. I'll give you a simple example. If you give a BG, a bank guarantee in a government, you should be entitled to a speedy payment or a point system by the ministry. Let's say, hey, हमने 10 लाख का BG लिया है 2 करोड़ के ऑर्डर पे, तो मुझे स्पीडी पेमेंट आप रिलीज कर दीजिए, या मुझे उस 10 लाख के अगेंस्ट थोड़ा लोन दे दीजिए. ऐसा कुछ जो है ना, गवर्नमेंट को they have to be aggressive. लाइसेंसिंग, जो लोग हार्डवेयर में काम कर रहे हैं, टेक्नोलॉजी में, उनको लाइसेंसिंग में बहुत दिक्कत आती है कि भाई मुझे यूएस से एक नया प्रोडक्ट लेके लगाना है, तो लाइसेंस थोड़ा स्पीड अप सरकार करे तो पीपल विल लव वर्किंग.
Exactly. So there are few questions also which I can see. I don't know. I mean, can we take those questions as well? So there is a question from Mr. Ashutosh Kharangate. Can there be and he writes as, can probably there be a recognized national association for startups formed by startups in line with the CII? So yes, there are a lot of associations and forums. Like for example, SMEStreet Foundation is also working on this front, where we have group of MSMEs as well as startups, where we actually work on issues which are related to these SMEs and these startups, specific to their industry sector. And there are various platforms which actually are working in these front. Then we also have another question from him. Can we have some thought what it takes for MSME to do well in global markets? So that's quite subjective, and we can go on and on that. Doing well on global market, uh, you first of all you have to produce the value to the consumers, value for your product, and that is easy if you understand the global market first. And obviously, Nupur can share some of the insights on this. How what is the mantra for global markets. If you are doing business globally, you probably can have something on that line.
Yeah, so first we're doing business in the UAE market, and again, I think there is mantra is the same everywhere. You sell a good service, you sell a good product, and you can do really well anywhere and everywhere. Human demand. So I was listening to Jeff Bezos' speech one day. So somebody asked him, what is the next thing in the market? Like, what would you bet on? He said, I don't know what will I bet on, but there is something certainly I know people would always love. That is something I will continue selling. So he like people will never say don't give me a free delivery, or people will never say don't give me a cheaper product. People will never say things, don't give me a better service. So I think that's something that I can bet on, and that is not only in the US but across the globe. So I think if you're selling a great product and a service, that's a win-win for everybody. And other is how to approach the right partnerships in the global scenario. Who's the right person for you? Who is wherein you're able to do a partnership in such a way which allows you to taste the waters with limited risk. Such kind of partners, if you can find them out for your industry and your area of work, and which also support you in that global economy in all ways. So I think getting the right partner is very important. Then of course, once you get the right partner, you can do it either way. First, you can go, exhibit yourself and find a partner, or you can find a partner and then exhibit in partnerships with your partner or something of that sort.
Exactly.
So I think
Exactly.
that's like the core of global expansion is finding the right person in that economy and forming a
Hmm.
strategy and going ahead.
Yes. So
I, I
yes,
would
there
like to
is.
add one thing over
Yeah,
here.
please.
Yeah, see, what I felt was that the commitment to client is sacrosanct in this. For example, see, when you are working in global markets, if you don't commit what you deliver, it is really going to work against you. So, what I believe in the philosophy is commit less and deliver more, and automatically the word of mouth and partnerships will fall in place for you. Thank you.
Yes, 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 exactly. I think Sneha is just trying to get the platform back to her, and I think we had a wonderful conversation, and we definitely have discussed some of the contemporary things, and very critical to understand that yes, time is quite critical right now. Like Deepa has mentioned, that this is the right and the most ideal time for startups. This is also, we have seen last 18 months into a somewhat very challenging economic scenarios with respect to MSMEs to survive, startups to survive, and now things are, yes, still skeptical, but we should remain hopeful for the positive, and we should follow the trend. The trend is, yes, after every downward curve there is there's a growth curve ahead. So how we should actually use this time is to prepare for the upward curve which is coming up, and to prepare, and this preparation requires focus on specific trends, focus on the quality, and focus on on integrating and fabricating the positivity around us, and work on a winning business strategy, which I have also experienced that based on my interactions with MSMEs across through SMEStreet. We have seen a lot of entrepreneurs are using this time on preparing for the upward curve, as well as they are working on shedding away their their high end expenses or cost, and they manage to survive and thrive after cutting them. So even then, they have seen good growth. So thank you so much, friends, for joining in, and I would definitely wish you best of luck, all of you, and thank you to all of you for giving time here, and thank you so much, viewers, also, for watching and for listening us. So Sneha, over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for such an engaging and interesting session. I must add to it, it was also inspirational. There are so insightful. I could see the questions before the questions could pop up. The answers were already given and in discussion. And I must add, thank you, because we all do need a reality check sometimes as to what's happening on ground. So thank you so very much for this entire session.